Welcome to this video on MADM Academy, where we're going to look at wireframing a website. So by the end of this video, you're going to know what wireframing a website means, how to do it, and more importantly, you're going to know why you're doing it as well. So it's always important to understand why we're doing something, especially when it comes to digital marketing, when a lot of the different techniques that we're using might be not familiar to you. So if we understand why we need to start wireframing websites before we start designing the actual website, then it's going to help us understand when and where to use these techniques. So wireframing a website is really just a rough outline sketch of where you would like the content on your website to be. So wireframing a website, remember the word like wireframing, it is really just like the wire frame of that. The key really is in the name here. A lot of people, myself included, when we're doing wireframes, I don't worry about much to do with styling. You can add colors if you wish. You don't even have to actually include the specific images that you're going to end up using. This is more about just having a document here that you've created that's going to say like, right, we need to have a heading up here, we need to have some buttons down here, for instance. This is where our menu is going to sit, our navigation links, and it's just going to be the starting point of the web development process in terms of what the UI, the user interface, how does your website look. This is the first step in that. So we can start out with a wireframe, and then after that, we can go into looking at styling, choosing the exact images, videos, fonts, etc. that we're going to use. But for now, we just want to get an outline of this. And the important reason for why we do this is it prevents us from falling into the trap of just getting out there and trying to just design things ad hoc, which can just consume so much of your time. So a lot of people, myself included in this, when we first get started with web design and web development, we just start designing as we're going, and you find yourself just in this endless cycle of trying to modify things or include things or push things onto your site that don't really flow with the rest of the site, and you just add in things without really a good understanding of why they need to be there. So this is all about spending a little bit of time to hopefully save you a lot of time in the long run. So we're going to choose which elements we want to include on our website during this wireframe process. So your elements are essentially just the different blocks that add up to make the user interface of your website. So an element example would be a heading, or an element example would be a video, or an image, or a button, whatever it might be. So if you're getting started with wireframing a website, if you're doing it for the first time, it's not a complex technical process. It really is just a case of you can even do this, and a lot of people do it, with pen and paper. It does not have to be done on a computer by any means. All you need to do with this is really, I'm primarily focusing on your home page with this, although, we do recommend for any important page that you do have on your website, you're going to do a wireframe for that. But if you're just going to do it for one page, then make sure you do a wireframe for your home page, the core page of your website. So as long as you've got a wireframe for your homepage, that's going to get you off to a very, very good start. So if you are going to use a graphic tool such as Canva, maybe you want to do it on Illustrator if you're more confident, or if you want to practice your Illustrator or Photoshop skills, you want to do it with the Adobe suite, that's fine. You might also want to use a site called Figma. So Figma is amazing for designing things like this as part of a team. You might find it a little bit more complex than it needs to be if you're just wanting to do it for yourself, create a little wireframe, in which case I would highly recommend what we're doing here, which is Canva. So you can just go straight up here to elements, drag in a little rectangle here. We're not going to spend too much time in this video going over the technicality or the exact elements. This is just really showing you in this video what a wireframe could look like. In the next videos, we're going to show you why you want to include certain elements and go into it in more detail. But for now, this is how simple your wireframe can look like, and it's going to serve as a really good reference point to come back to. So what we can do here is do one rectangle for desktop. So this is, you know, your traditional sort of landscape mode. It's, you know, it's wider than it is tall. You don't have to be specific with the dimensions. You know, remember that every monitor and screen can look slightly different. You know, people use different screen sizes. So, you know, just choose something that resembles somewhat the dimensions of a laptop. We can also do it, and we really recommend doing the same for mobile as well. So you know, we can create the typical mobile, or even, you know, do one for tablet as well, which is more this. If you're struggling to see this, I'm actually going to put a border around it just to make it clearer for you. So if you can see that now, that's a little bit easier in it. You can make the border thicker if you wish. That might be better for you. You might also want to add another element, such as you know, the old school, I know it's not on all the devices anymore, but the little sort of, you know, the old school Apple bar that had the little home button in at the middle, so it kind of resembles a phone a little bit more, and the little camera notched part at the top, which I know you might want to be a bit more technical about it. Some phones literally just have the little circle. I know my Android is more just like this these days, but you know, you don't really need to worry about it too much. It might just be so you can remember that this is your phone, this is your tablet, and you know, maybe if you want to do something similar for your desktop as well, this is going to lay out the screen dimensions that we're using. So this is our little start menu. It's the most boring start menu ever, but it just shows you that, you know, you don't need to be spending too much time doing things like this. So this is our desktop, this is our tablet. We could do similar for you know, the iPad sort of screens. This is what we've done here, but you don't need to. I'd certainly remove this. I'd probably just remove this as well if I was doing a wireframe. And then just really quickly again, I don't want to you know, lose too much time here into the technicalities or the details of this. If you're thinking about what you're going to do when you start scrolling down, then by all means, you know, do different sections, you know, for what is your website going to look like when you're going to scroll down your screen. You might want to do it like this, as in separate screens. You might also just want to do it where you've got like a continual you know, process here, where, you know, you can almost scroll down it the same as you would on a desktop. So you would have like a section here that you see when you first log onto the site, then you scroll down and see more and more of the website. That is certainly something that I do, but also, just to stop there, I actually do it in two sections. So you have what is called above the fold, which is a term that came from newspapers. So newspapers, when they were folded in half, the headline was typically above the actual fold of that newspaper. So above the fold for a website is anything that you see on the screen before you scroll down at all. So it's that landing kind of section. What do you see on the site before you scroll down? You can do that for desktop, mobile and tablet the same. So I always think, right, you know, the above the fold section is by far and away the most important part of your website. You know, it's going to, you know, be the section that gives more people the first impression of your website than likely any other aspect of your site, any other part of your site. So I would create a wireframe for your above the fold section. I'd also duplicate this, come down here, maybe make it a little bit thinner, and then what we're going to do here is also include that above the fold section up here, and then scroll down. So you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. You're getting to see what your above the fold section is. You're also getting to see how that would work with your entire homepage as well. And again, do the same principle again for mobiles, and if you wish as well, tablets. But for now, just really quickly to finish this video up, so you've got an understanding of how simple a wireframe should be. We're going to write literally here, headline will go here. We can say that this is going to be slightly bigger just to give us a rough idea of it. So headline's going to go here, subtitle here, and then we can make use of like the amazing like elements, sort of you know, the pre-built elements that Canva comes with. Sorry, I'm struggling to get words out this morning. We're going to have a couple of buttons here. So we'll have a button here, let's say a button here, and then we're going to duplicate this, literally a copy and paste job to show that we're going to have our menu at the top here, maybe give it a slightly different colour, but bearing in mind this doesn't have to be the colour that you're going to use eventually. And then let's say we're going to have an image here, which you don't even have to use an image, you can just sort of put a little demonstration that you're going to have an image there. So this is all you really need to do to get going, and then from this, we'll just concentrate on this little section here for now. You can then take that to the next step, which is where you can take this and remembering that, okay, your headline needs to go here, you're going to have a little subtitle here, a couple of buttons and an image, for instance. And always, bearing in mind you can go back and tweak this or change it, but it's just going to start getting you into the habit of having a reference document that you can move on to the next stage with. So rather than jumping straight into the styling, wondering how things are going to be or what elements you need to include, you've already done that here. So it's a huge part of the web development process. It's going to help you with the UI. If you do want to go a little bit further and put the actual images here for now, do that. But really, the simpler that you can do it, and this is why a lot of people just do it with a pen and piece of paper. It's just a little reference where you can say, okay, then this is where the elements are going to be. You want to have like another call to action button up here, for instance, in the top right hand corner. Maybe you also want to do one for your logo as well, so you can have your logo over here. The buttons to navigate through to your other parts of your website are going to go here, and we're going to leave it there because I don't actually want to get too detailed in this, and we're going to actually look at the elements that you should be including in the next videos. But hopefully with this, watching this video, you've got a clear understanding of what wireframing a website is, the importance of it, and certainly why you should be doing it, the time that it's going to save you, and the help that it's going to give you when it comes time to actually styling your website as well.